Hey, welcome to Ditch Digger CEO. We're going to have a blast today, Chris. We've got Joe Kahn here, and great entrepreneur that he is. He's going to tell his story. Joe, welcome to Ditch Digger CEO today, buddy.
Thank you. Thanks for having me. I'm very excited to tell our little story, our 10-year journey. It's actually 10-year anniversary coming up in 2 months. So we're in for a big one. We're a little baby company, but we've gone a long ways in the last 10 years.
Only 10 years. Holy
10
cow.
years.
10 years from the first store to how many?
51 now. 51 that are all company owned, not franchised. So we had some pretty explosive growth the entire time. During COVID, we actually had some very explosive growth. We did probably 31 locations during 20, 21, and 22. So we were on fire.
Holy cow. That's amazing. Let's talk about briefly, the type of stores you have, type of restaurants. How do you compare to, we've got your basic Mexican restaurants and Taco Bells and Chipotle and different ones, right? How do you guys compare to those, and what's kind of your slogan or your brand, and what does it look like?
Yeah, so Condado, was built out of a passion of I wanted to build a place that I wanted to spend time at, a place that I felt good to go dine at, place that I wanted to hang out a couple days a week. So it was purely passion. I started it for a job, and I started it as well to give others a job. I grew up in this industry. I've been in the industry over 30 years now, the restaurant industry, and didn't always like what I saw. And when I had the opportunity to create my own place, I created a place in the image of where I wanted to work, A, and B, where I wanted to eat and hang out. So, I would say Condado is an experiential place where on average about 3,800 square feet. It's sit down, very vibrant, loud music, bar atmosphere, but also very, focused on dining. We give, the best service you'll ever get for $25 a person. So it's kind of like casual mixed with fast casual prices and a casual environment.
So $25, that's kind of your average cost per person, huh?
Per person, yeah.
That's awesome. And so when you think of the Chipotles of the world, it's not that. It's not the Taco Bell, it's not the Chipotles of the world. It's a sit-down restaurant with a cool bar and atmosphere.
Yeah, but it's fast, it's exciting, it's very inclusive. Like, everybody is welcome. You'll see people in suits, and you'll see hipsters running around. You'll see every type of person. It just feels like a natural place where everybody kind of just blends in and fits in. So it's experiential, and that's exciting. I would compare it to maybe back in the day a Chili's or I'm trying to think of what was out there back in the day that was experiential. TGIF Fridays. But not in that kind of, old way that we're talking, but the excitement. You would go with your family, you'd go with your friends, you would hang out. We're the new kind of really cool, affordable place that you can go. And we do very big volumes just because of that, our affordability piece of it.
And so when you think of that, I mean, what are the core values that you guys think about to keep that culture? Because I mean, duplicating that over and over and over again 51 times is a challenge. How do you do it?
It's a challenge, and we task each other this challenge every day. That's their biggest thing, right? Our culture is the most important thing. What I built was a very inclusive place where everybody kind of has a seat at the table when you come in. The opportunities are endless. We pay in the 80th, 90th percentile of where our company is, and always have, starting from year one. I had
so 80% of the industry average.
Yes, exactly.
Right. That's awesome.
Yeah. So we pay really. So, for example, we were paying our line cooks 10 years ago, $18 to start. 30 days, you get bumped to 19, 30 more days, you get bumped to 20. And you go up to like $22, $23. And then after that, you have to start going into management. So that's unheard of. We used to get in trouble with not in trouble, but we used to get, a lot of people around us going, we can't hire people because they're all coming to you. And I'm like, you have to pay people well. Like, if I can make it work based off of my volumes, my margins, right? Then you certainly can. And that's the problem with this industry, is if you can't treat people well, why are people in this industry? And they're very transient unless they find a home and they know that they don't have to work 3 jobs at one time.
Mm-hmm.
And so we extended that all the way up through our management. Paying in that 80th and 90th percentile is huge to retain people, to keep people. And really, the magic for us is that we take people that don't necessarily have the experience, but have the passion. And then we put the time in and we develop them, right? This isn't rocket science living or working in the restaurant industry. It's not rocket science. What's rocket science is getting everybody all on the same page, getting people to follow you, right? To believe in your dream and to believe in the cause that you have, which is a very inclusive restaurant where everybody comes and everybody feels good around each other and everybody's accepted. And there's a possibility that you can move up the ladder quickly. I have 10 to 12, I call them OGs, and a few have fallen off, but they started with me as busboys, servers, kitchen cooks, and now 10 years later, I just lost my one guy, but he was my COO. And he was my COO. He was my director of ops. I mean, he helped me build this business. He was fantastic. He lasted 10 years. I have guys that have been with me, like my right-hand guy that was online with me when I was developing and the systems that Condado uses and getting everybody to be on the same page, making tacos next to me. Now he's the food and beverage director. I have a guy named Chris Mendoza that is he's done everything in the restaurant. From training to, culture director, because really he's the culture guy. He's the guy that, really bought into it right away and helped me get that culture out there. And so now he's in the training department and, or I'm sorry, not the training department, the marketing department. And so, and he's, a manager of his division. And it's just, I have these stories over and over. I still have these people that are with me because they bought into the dream, they were treated well, and they had the opportunity to move up, right?
A blast. It's a blast. And to see these people that work their butts off next to you, you paid them well, but they could probably make that in another industry maybe, right? And that's the challenge in the restaurant industry. I'm in the construction industry where, our wages are very high and they're incredibly high nowadays, right? And we've always been a little higher, than the restaurant industry, especially those restaurants that are much cheaper than what you pay, right? Yeah. And so keeping great people is the key. But even at whatever, even if it's at $30, $40, $50, $60, $70 an hour, that they start at, depending on their value or their experience, there's nothing like seeing them move into a leadership position, like you're saying, a COO, a director of a division like that, where they're going to make great money. Their retirement's going to be, or their nest egg that they build is going to be incredible. And hopefully the goal is to create many millionaires out of these people that have been so loyal.
That's right. The first COO that was with me through the transaction and day one guy, because all these guys were day one, he had $1 million check written to him. And that's, incredible. This is a guy that, probably didn't have a penny to his name. I know I didn't have a penny to my name back then. So we kind of came up together and started seeing some success and wealth, and he was paid well, and then he ended up getting stock. And so these stories are endless, but we really, when we talk culture, we say culture, and it's not a cheesy culture where it's like kumbaya. We're like, you're going to work your fucking ass. I don't know if I can swear. You're going to work your ass, but I'm going to reward you. You're going to believe in what we all believe in. We have the same common goal, but you're going to work and you're going to take your time off that I give you, your 2 days a week. But when you're here, you're obsessed. And that's how these guys are, because they believe in this and nothing's handed to them that's like a freebie. They genuinely work hard and make themselves better. and we invest in them and give them, mentors and coaches and all this great stuff to get them there because they deserve it. Because I think anybody can do that in this business if you are taught.
Sounds like you learn from your own mistakes and your own growth. Like, a lot of, I don't know that many people in the restaurant business that are finding mentors for their people in their business and believing in, culture and mentorship, right? In the restaurant business.
Right.
I've learned this over my years, and we try to do a lot with mentorship, but it's not common in my industry either. But if you do it well, I think it's appreciated, and if you do it well, they know you care, and they'll excel, right? If they love their business.
Exactly. The restaurant industry, and I don't know what the stats are for your industry, but I'm sure it's pretty similar. The restaurant industry, service industry is basically the second biggest industry in the world next to government, right? That's where people go. And there's no opportunities. There's very rare do companies ever give opportunities. And really, I built this company so that if it did succeed, I could give opportunities. Because you know what, I worked in the business I was 38 when I got my start, and I could open my own place. And, I never would have done that. I think I made it as far as general manager. I know I made it as far as general manager in certain companies. But once you do that, I mean, where do you go? You can go to regional. And you can work for a bigger company, but I mean, the Chili's and all these guys, there's only a handful of them. There's 25 or 30 of them out there that you can go and be a regional. Nobody's big enough to do that, right?
So tell me about the opportunities. So if when you have 51 stores, you got to have a boatload of high achievers, people that are aspiring to kick butt like you have, right? To continually grow and just slay it, right? How many of those people do you have on your team when we have a few thousand employees or whatever you have? I'm not sure the number, but 1,000 employees. How do you find those people? How do you inspire them? And then how do you reward them when success happens?
I mean, listen, now we're a pretty well-oiled machine. I'm not saying we're perfect, but I mean, in the old days, I trained whoever was backing me up and supporting me in management through the first, 4 or 5 years, because we were smaller at that point. I think we had 12 or 13. The Johnnies and the Chris Mendozas and all these guys that were kind of in some leadership position, the Kyle Boos, they believed in what I believed in. So they would put their time and energy to verbally reward people and verbally spend time with them. You don't see that in the industry because it's so fast paced and people at the end of the day are just like, oh. But I'm like, no, we have to reinvest in these people. We need to sit down. We need to talk to them. We need to ask them about their problems. What are your challenges? How can I help you? How can I make you better? Let me tell you what I would do in these situations. So there's a lot of that goes into it, which I'm sure you went through the same thing when you were growing your business. And that's just the thing that you do. Nowadays, we have programs through HR that, we have mentorship. We have any new manager that comes through, goes through a program, and we have several people that touch every level of that. So, from our CEO doing our guac talks with these guys to, them spending time with HR, they're learning all these different departments. So they're being invested in as best we can. We can always be better, and we strive to be better each year. But now it's a lot simpler than back in the day where it was just like all about time. But at the end of the day, it is exhausting it's exhaustive in a good way for me. The more I can put time into somebody's development personally, the more that I know I can make a great person, a great leader out of them. So it really comes down to the amount of work that you're going to put into somebody, right?
And the type of people that you surround yourself with, and I had to surround myself with, right? I enjoy inspiring them to understand the difference they make on a daily basis. So many of my friends are in businesses where it's finance, it's banking, it's whatever, and then people don't really see a difference in what they do on a daily basis. So, in my opinion, when you have a business like yours, and you can see a smile after smile, customer after customer, right? Serve those customers, and you were successful at the end of that meal when they walk away happy and smiling. Right? In my business, I was pretty excited because we paved driveways and then parking lots, and almost
Yeah.
every job we did back in the day was more than a day long before we took something that looked really bad, made it
Right.
look really good. And a
Right.
customer at the end of that job was smiling and writing a check, right? So
Yeah.
again, I feel like your industry, my industry, if we're close to our team, and we care about them, you talk about their challenges, all things that you said, and then you can get them to understand how cool it is in a
Yeah.
short period of time to watch somebody enjoy what you're serving them, right?
That's right.
It's an awesome business, and restaurant business is a great business, and mine is very similar to that. Now we're doing bigger and bigger jobs across the country. They might take
Right.
days or weeks to finish sometimes, but overall, it's pretty fast. The gratitude that we find
Right.
comes pretty quick compared to some of my friends who are in industries that there's kind
Right.
of boring, man. I mean, they just
Yeah.
they don't get the gratitude as fast as we do,
Yeah. It's definitely instant gratification for seeing a guest or a little, whatever, a little kid go, "Ooh, everything's great," or whatever it is. Yeah. Just having
Yeah.
a good night. It is rewarding.
So I a couple there's what Uncle Julio's the place I go to here in
Yep.
Naples, and then back in north and in the Chicagoland areas you got a few of those, and they're kind of nice atmospheres. They're pretty fun, but they're
Yep.
probably, I'm guessing they're 10 or 15,000 square foot facilities,
They're big.
right?
They're big.
But is that the kind of culture? I mean, it's kind of fun there, right?
Yeah. I mean, we're doing it in a little hipper way, I would say, only because.
So tell me how you kick their ass. Bottom line.
Well, the atmosphere. Well, there's several ways. I will say I'll start with the atmosphere. Our walls we're heavily into our artwork because we want to make an experience that is very experiential. So every piece of every wall is hand-drawn murals that we painstakingly develop from the start, months before we actually start construction, with storyboards, 10 to 12 artists. We have our own art team. We have all these characters. So we do, and then we find 10 to 12 local artists, plus our team that we hire, which is part of the marketing team, to go out and to localize every restaurant that we do. For instance, if we're in Clintonville, which is one of our sites, original sites, it was number 5 or something. It was in Clintonville, and it was next to Ohio State, which I'm sure you know. But right next to there was also the world's largest fair in the 1900s, was on those grounds. So we made the entire restaurant into a giant fair. And so all these great colors, we put our characters into, circus animals and workers and all these things. We have big roller coasters. So it's very detailed, and we want it to be, we don't want you to come in and go, "Ooh, everything." It's just, you're always seeing something. You're always going, "Ooh, oh, there. Oh, that's funny. Oh, that's cute. That's awesome."
Yeah. So is it a kind of a combination of that local art and then local history? Is it combined with yours? Is it kind of a combination of both?
Yeah, it's actually both. And then, we put our spin on it with our characters. So, we have all our characters working in the fair that was there, and it's a reference to it, and it's a very local kind of a legend. So wherever we go, we always find, even if we have 6 or 7 places in Cincinnati or Columbus, they're all different. So we dive really deep into it. We make it very local. We make sure that we have all our branding elements, so you're in a Condado, but it's always going to be different. And that's what makes it local and non-chainy. So I think we're a little different than most because of that. The second thing that we do, and this is an obsession of mine because I'm very into clean food and always have been, and I've been in the industry for so long. And I'm not saying I'm the healthiest guy, but I am saying that I'm very conscious of what America eats out there. And so we are very, very clean, and we are obsessive about our food and our food quality and our food safety. For instance, we have a commissary. I bought a building. I made it into a commissary, and we do all our food. We do about 75% of our food out of the commissary, but we also own our logistics. So for 51 restaurants, we will do the braising of, let's say, the pulled pork. That's a 16-hour overnight braise that sits there, but you're talking about thousands of pounds. And then when they get it in the morning, they pull it apart, they put it into the blast chiller, they cool it down, and then within 12 hours, it will actually go to the restaurants on trucks. So I think you would equate it more to a sous vide. We kind of sous vide, so we're slow cooking all our stuff. We're doing it fresh, but anything that is heated actually is sous vide in the restaurants and then into the line. But it's done within 24 hours, so it's the same process that we would do in our restaurants to prep for the next day. We're doing it in a major facility that's very, very built out, because I had this vision from day one. I did not want to make food that was not consistent. And not only that, I wanted to control how our food got to us. So we slowly invested. We started out with a small commissary for the first 2 restaurants, and then we ended up owning 1 truck, and then we bought another restaurant just to house for 10 restaurants. And then we started thinking bigger and got bigger pieces of equipment. And then we just got into this, like 80% of our food is diced veggies, right? So we started getting into the $200,000, $300,000 Urschels that you're doing, 20,000 pounds of green peppers.
Wow.
A day, and red peppers that are mixed into the corn salsa. So it's really fascinating where we went.
Is this
But
one
our
facility?
obsession is food.
Is this one? You become a logistics experts, right? Food quality. I mean, all these things you got to do is incredible. Now, does this one facility serve all 51 restaurants currently?
It does. And, we put what's in the commissary that made sense. The other stuff, the other 25% we do in the restaurant, like the guacamole, of course. There's no reason to cook ground beef outside. So our proprietary ground beef is done on stovetop in the restaurants with our spice pack that we put in, and then you add the pico. And so what makes sense makes sense. Chorizo makes sense, right? Things that don't make sense to me are those 16-hour braises that I'm just sous videing and warming up the same way that I used to back in the day. Now I can do it out of one major facility. And to be quite honest, we think we can get maybe up to 100, 150 restaurants just out of there, as long as we can get our trucks there, right? Within the hour that they give us.
So as long as logistics works, you could potentially triple in size with that one facility. And then at that point, you're going to understand the radius that can be served by the next facility. Right?
Exactly. Like, we can never go to California. We'll have to do something in the middle of the United States, maybe, or we'll have to do something on the edge of Georgia just to get to like Florida, Texas, all that kind of stuff. Move across the bottom.
So 51 stores, Joe. What regions are they in right now in the country?
Gosh, we're everywhere. We're in 10 or 12 states. So Ohio, of course, Pennsylvania, Michigan, North Carolina. I think we're going to South Carolina. We're in Nashville.
Dude, you're in all the swing states.
Yeah, we're there. We started out very Midwest. Obviously, that's where this was born out of. I chose Columbus for a reason. The reason was, it's a national testing ground for most concepts, as you know. White Castle's come out of here, Wendy's come out of here. I think Chipotle went here in the beginning. So a lot of big companies, and they say if you can do well and scale in Columbus, you have a pretty good shot of going across the United States. So I took that advice when I stared, and it works.
So let's go back, in the beginning for you. I know you've worked in the bar business, restaurant business for years. Started as a young guy. Tell us where you started. Kind of the trials and tribulations of a young guy in the industry. Not an easy industry, right? You had to love it to stick with it. Tell us about how you continued to love this business when it wasn't all success in the first 20 years, probably.
Right. So it's funny because I grew up and when I was in high school. I was very smart, but did not enjoy school. And I remember getting a job at 16, and it was at Sizzler. I was a busboy. And
I love Sizzler back
I
then.
loved Sizzlers back in the day. I think there's one or two still around the country. If I ever find one, I go into it, but they're
That's a
pretty
big deal
rare.
back then.
Yeah. And I remember my first shift, I ended up making something like $18. And I went, wow, this is what, and then people were like nice to me, and I could relate to people, and they were smiling, just like you said, because I was bringing them coffee. Or I think back then it was, here's another plate so you can go to the buffet. I don't know what it was. I can't remember, but it made people happy. And I got that good feeling. You know, I say that the industry, we're a bunch of people who are pleasers. And I don't, you know, some people say that's a bad word. I don't. I love the feeling that I get when I please somebody with a great dish, a great taco. They love the chorizo. They can taste that it's Oaxacan, it's really authentic. You know, Mexican, it's not like canned. I love that feeling when I can look at somebody and they go, oh, this is so good, you know, blah, blah, blah. So I call myself a pleaser. That's what we call ourselves at Condado. But anyways, yeah, I was young, and then, you know, I kind of knew what I wanted to do, but my dad kind of spurred it because he kept talking to me about going to college. And I kept saying, I don't even like high school. Like, I don't know what I want to do. I was way too smart. I knew more than the teachers. I think I tested and I was Mensa when I was, you know, really young. And I'm just like, I did not get the same thing that most people get in school. So anyways, my dad spurred it by saying, you're going to be a garbage man. And I said, I'm going to show you, I'm going to work in the restaurant business. I'm not going to be a garbage man. And so, you know, I always had this little chip on my shoulder with him, and I always wanted to prove myself. But then I really ended up loving the business. I went through all the different, you know, things in the industry. I worked in the back of the house. I worked in the front of the house. I worked my way up to bartending, management, you know, consulting. I think the highest I ever made was general manager. Had the chance to, you know, start a place once or twice, always fell through. Never could raise the money. But I knew I loved the business, and I knew I was good at it. I knew I was good at getting people to believe in whatever program I was doing, whether it was a menu, whether it was a bar program, whether it was whatever, right? I was very good at that. And so I just love the business. And, you know, I met my wife, this is relevant, I promise, 14 years ago, 52 now. And the reason I say that is because my wife knew a guy in the neighborhood that we both lived in. I was the manager of this bar called Edison's, probably my favorite job besides my own company. And it was just a great job. The owner left me alone. I increased sales, and I got 6% of everything over, I think it was like $500,000. So I raised it to $1.4 million. I just did phenomenal. This little old man.
Whoa.
It was great. I was making tons of money. I was like, wow. And my wife comes in one day and she was with her. Well, she was with her boyfriend, technically. I tried to buy her a drink. I was bartending at the time because I bartended and managed as well to offset, and tried to buy her a drink. She said no. But I thought she was cute as shit. And I'm just like, hey, you're gonna get a drink from me. Anyway, she said she had a boyfriend. She went home that day and her boyfriend broke up with her that night. Not her boyfriend. So she came back 4 times and I wasn't there to come see me because I obviously made an impression. It was love at first sight, but what is relevant about this is my wife, about a year into our relationship, knew this guy. His name was Tom, and he ended up being my first partner. And he had a building and a liquor license. It took very little money to modify this. I had a vision of what I wanted already. He was a silent partner. And I built my same concept that I have now under a different name in Cleveland, and actually had phenomenal success. And I could not have opened it without my wife knowing this guy. A, they were very good friends. And B, my wife actually went into her 401k twice and gave me all her money. Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, twice. And we started it on a shoestring budget because he owned all the assets. He owned everything. I didn't have to change much. The art came from, I'm a failed artist. I love to paint acrylic. And I did big murals on the wall. We got a guy named Mac that did all Day of the Dead stuff and just covered the walls. And that was the most economical artsy thing that I could do. And it turned out really great, right? But we got in there for nothing. I think my wife lent me 20 something thousand. I scraped together 3,000, 23,000. I owed the guy, we never even set the value. The value came after. And anyways, I ended up getting screwed on the whole thing, ended up in court. Doesn't matter because it was the best decision I ever did. I got my teeth,
It was your proof of concept,
it was
right?
my proof of concept. And then I restarted in Columbus with two other great partners a year and a half after I started that one. And everything.
Is that one still there going strong?
It is. They have, I think they have about 15 locations and they franchise about 10.
Wow.
So yeah, it's a pretty tried and true concept. It's very well thought out. I don't know how they're doing exactly, but I can see they're growing, not quite as fast as us, but it is what it is. But yeah, anyways, proof of concept, all from my wife lending me the money, and that's really how I got my start in the business. When I restarted in Columbus, same thing happened. I hired all new people, new artists, everything.
Was that 2014 then? Bob?
That's right. Yeah, 2014. Yeah, because we have our 10-year coming up in 2 months. And it took about 8 months and proof of concept, it just blew wide open. We were doing 25,000 a week, then we got it up to 28. I got really excited because at Barrio, my old place, I had gotten up to 50,000. Those were my top weeks, but it was a really tiny, tiny place. And then I hired this guy, Johnny, who was my right-hand man, who was a bartender with me. He ended up being the first director of ops, turned it into COO. And we kind of built the business together. And about 8 months in, we blew the doors off. We ended up going into the next year, and he had a prediction that we would do $100,000 weeks. And I kind of laughed at him and said, that's pushing it a little bit, but I go 60, 65. I go, this place, it's not big enough. He's like, Joe, everybody's bought in. I'm telling you, we're primed. Literally the next week, we started doing $100,000 weeks. We were doing 5.1 million out of, I think it was 3,200 square feet, really tiny. It took no money to open that place either. It was under 100 grand. Well, it was, I think we each put in 100 grand, but I had about 90,000 left over in the bank for payroll. So about 210. So we got, with the building, we got lucky, but same thing happened. And my partners had never been in the industry, but they had both exited their companies. So they knew going in that they did not want to have one or two. They're like, if we're going to do this,
go big.
We're going to reinvest. And I said, can I please just have a little bit of money? Because I'm not paying myself a salary. And so I think my pay got bumped up to 100 grand. And I was like, ooh, we're living large. Until private equity.
When you look at this now, when you start stores now, Joe, is the progression kind of similar as it was originally? Is it like 20, 30,000 for a few weeks or few months maybe, and it gets to 40, 50,000, and then all the advertising's in place, the marketing's in place. Yeah. The eyes on the road have seen it enough times and it gets to 100, or is it like anywhere from 60 to 150,000? What is there a range, or is it kind of consistent market by market?
Yeah, market by market, I would say, because listen, we've built out Columbus, we've built out Cleveland, we've built out, in Pittsburgh, we've built out the suburbs and Michigan. So we have a name there, right? So once you start opening in around where your stores are, not new markets is what I call it, you have recognition. So yeah, you might start out at 50 a week versus the 30s, but then you go to, for instance, North Carolina or Alabama or wherever we are. And yeah, they start out very similar. You'll do your initial, they'll start out, they'll have a big pop for the first, 4 weeks because everybody's interested. And then it settles down and it goes down to that 30, 30s, 40s. And then it literally takes restaurants. And I remind people because they all get disappointed. I'm like, it takes 14 months for people to even know who you are. You have to build it. Just because you're great in Ohio and everybody's so fond of you and you have this big name and everybody loves Condado, nobody knows who the hell it is in Nashville. You're starting over. And every new market that nobody knows you is a challenge. And you have to put the energy, the time, the marketing.
So it's funny because you got me thinking, I'm pretty sure my fiance and I visited your store in Pittsburgh because the restaurant in Pittsburgh. Yeah. Because I remember a really cool Mexican restaurant in Pittsburgh, not too far from like Squirrel Hill and stuff. If you know where that's at.
Yeah, I do. Yeah, you did. You did.
My grandfather and grandmother lived in Squirrel Hill. We worked for the mayor there, and he was a director of public works for the city of Pittsburgh for some time, and went and visited him a few times. So we were coming through town, and I said, Julie, let's go see Pittsburgh. I want to see my grandpa's old house. And so anyway, then we went to eat, and we found this amazing little Mexican restaurant. It was the same size you're talking about.
Yep.
Atmosphere was amazing.
Yep.
The food was, I thought it was more authentic than Tex-Mex. Is that right?
Yes,
I mean, more authentic. A little Tex-Mex maybe, but more authentic than you see usually.
Right. So, but like, these are my recipes, but I had a woman from Mexico, Oaxaca, that would help me with my recipes. And she'd always be like, this is good, Joe, but no, not good, not really good. And so she would add stuff and I'd be like, how about now? And she's like, yes, now. And so she would fix them. And so we scaled them that way. So yes, it's Tex-Mex, but it's very Oaxacan flavors.
I remember, I'm telling you, I got to talk to Julie, but she remembers this stuff better than I do. I'm almost.
I think you went to our Lawrenceville. location.
It was a really cute little part of the town. It was a really cool, it had a really cool vibe. This part of the
really
town.
Rustic townish.
Yes.
Right? Yeah, that's Lawrenceville. That's right by Squirrel Hill. It's probably a mile.
That's it for sure. Right nearby. It's so funny.
Yeah.
That's funny. So my sister, my brother-in-law is Mexican, and his mom and dad are from Mexico. And I always loved going to their house when I was young because they had the best authentic, of course, Mexican food.
That's right.
And so then my sister became an expert at cooking authentic Mexican food because her husband loves it and everybody else does too. But there's a difference, right? But I feel like if you can add a little bit of Tex-Mex to it, now us that don't eat it every day, the authentic stuff every day, love it even more.
Yeah, we're very. People understand, but they don't understand, especially in new markets, that yes, the flavor profiles are very indigenous to Oaxaca, but it's very Tex-Mex. I mean, we're home of the double deckers. I mean, I took all that stuff from Taco Bell. I love texture, and I said, okay, I want to do that double decker. I want to do that ooey gooey taco, but I don't want to have food like Taco Bell. I don't want dog food. And I'm not saying they're dog food. I'm just saying they're not the same caliber. No. So our food quality is very, very good. Done with some inspiration from the Taco Bells and different places because I love that texture that you get with the hard and soft.
Yeah. Okay. So I want to go back to like a little bit of culture because I mean I felt culture in your restaurant when I know it was your place. So I'm going to make sure of this now. I'm going to look back on a map now. But anyway. Pleaser, right? I mean, I felt what you're talking about. It's all people that really cared about pleasing you, right? And I look at this as servant leadership develops, servant teammates, right? And we strive to do this every day in our businesses. It's not always easy, but we do a pretty good job. And I believe that those of us that want to be the best in the world at what we do, if we truly want to serve others better than anybody else in the world, I think, I'm a strong, Catholic Christian guy. And I believe that's the message we get from our faith, right? I think God wants us to serve our neighbors and and better than anybody else. And if you can do that well, so often good things happen. And whether it's wealth, it's the things you can do with that wealth, it's job creation, so many things. But that simple thing that you talked about, being a pleaser, right?
Yep.
I mean, some people think that that's bad. Some people think that's ass kissing. Okay. And in business, no, that's the blessings of being in business. When you can please somebody and you get more out of that pleasing them than you would get out of them giving you something, right?
That's right. And then you end up getting money, and then you can take that money and you can invest in your employees. And then I get more money because they're doing a great job. I'm giving you a lot of money. Now I get more money. It's just this self-perpetuating thing that we teach that in our restaurants. You know, faith to me is, I have a lot of faith. I don't necessarily follow a religion, but I do have a faith. I have a faith in God out there. But we go off of kindness. We are a kind company. We're kind to each other. We're kind to our guests. And when we don't do that, we're not following the basic principles of why you work at Condado, right?
Yeah.
Why you work at Condado. If I'm not good to you, how are you going to be good to my guests out there, right? So we base everything off of kindness here. And but we hold you accountable. Accountability and kindness. I have it written on my wall back here. Back to basics. Kindness, accountability, opportunity, and greatness. Like,
I love it.
That's my mantra, right? Opportunity, greatness. You can be great. Anybody can be made great if you're given the opportunity. And it's fostered right. So, but the culture is very big for us. I think, I don't know if you remember, but everybody dresses how they want to dress. And it makes them feel good when they come into work because, growing up in this business, you're in a black shirt, black pants, black shoes, black apron, black vest, and you don't take pride in yourself. You have shoes that have holes in them. And even though you can afford to get a new pair of shoes, you never do. It's just one of these work things, and you don't feel like yourself. You're given a script. We don't do that. We want you to touch on basics of this and that, but we really want you to be yourself when you're out there on that floor doing your thing. You have to sell, you have to upsell, you have to do this stuff if you believe in it, but we let you do it in your own way, right? We let you be yourself. And I think that's what you felt probably when you were in there. And that goes into kindness, and that just, it's everything that we are.
Okay, so think about this too. I mean, I look at, something that drives you. You said it earlier. Something that drives me when, ditch digger CEO is an example of, being laughed at as a ditch digger, not going to college and starting a business in a dirty industry, right? That I love. But bottom line is, the chip on my shoulder is still there today. I still want to prove to everybody that you can. This success is imminent if you love what you do and you want to work really hard. But I think a chip on the shoulder. A lot of these people that come to work for you have a different chip on their shoulders, right? And if you're doing the job that I heard you say earlier, you're getting to know them. Your managers, yourself. You're getting to know these people intently. You're going to find out they probably got a chip on their shoulder. Now, they can use the chip on their shoulder to be successful, to sell in their business, to see this gratitude that they get from doing a good job. I mean, they're going to become very successful in your business, especially when you pay more than the competition.
That's right.
You have offer opportunity that's bigger than most. You can take advantage of your chip on the shoulder. I'm sure you probably talk about the things in your life that drive you. And if you know the things that drive them, boy, now you've got really an unfair advantage.
Yeah, this industry is pretty typical on the type of people that it gets, and they're usually people that haven't gone to college and don't have that opportunity, and it's kind of transient, and so everybody's in the same boat. But when you start showing them that you can have success in this business if you take pride, if you're kind to each other, that you can move up, and that you don't have to work 3 jobs, and that we can get you into a program if you show initiative to manage and to go through. And an assistant manager, for instance, makes 70-something thousand plus bonus. And it's like, you just don't find that. Most GMs in this industry are around 48 to 65,000.
Mhm.
we're minimum 90,000 base salary, 85 to 90, and then plus bonus. So
Wow.
these opportunities, and we found a model that we get probably leading industry returns. I shit you not. It's like nobody can beat us in our returns because of what we breed, the culture that we breed, the dedication from our employees. It's infectious all the way through. And you've seen it in your business. If you
Well,
do it right,
well, there's so many ways to create differentiation, right? Whether it's a product you serve and you do that, right? Whether it's the people that you hire and you promote and mentor, right? It's
right.
it could be the technology you use, right? There's so many things in your industry that could be differentiators, but people are the most important. I mean, if you can't surround yourself with great people, nothing else matters. I mean, you get the greatest customers in the world, you're not going to have them very long if you don't have great people serving those great customers, right? And
you're right. I always tried to hire better than myself. And a lot of people are scared to do that because they think that, who knows, they know more. They're going to take over. They're going to open their own, whatever it is. But I've always found that I hire people that are much better than me, and they make me much.
Well, and Joe, how about the experience when, and I know you've done this because I've had fun doing this. When I find somebody in some cases that's not hired by anybody else because their age is, they're in their 60s or 70s, let's say, but their experience is vast, and their experience in leadership might be vast. The experience in my industry might be vast. Okay. But our competition won't hire them because of their age, and they won't say that. Of course, they kind of can't. But I got to tell you, the loyalty that we have gotten and the relationships we've gained with friends, the people that are my friends and teammates today that are in their 60s and 70s are incredible because they couldn't get a job from any other people, right? And yet they're so invaluable because they come with this wisdom that we wouldn't have had otherwise in many cases, right? And by the way, you can hire them for a competitive price to the industry. So again, sometimes it's kind of cool when you can find people that don't kind of fit the box if you looked at them.
That's right.
And they become amazing performers because you gave them opportunity when maybe somebody else didn't, right?
Well, that's the key to success. You give a lot of people opportunities, especially these guys we do a lot of second chance programs. We've had a lot of success with certain things. I mean, drugs, of course, and that kind of stuff. Nothing, truly violent. But second chance programs like that, we have a few people in our industry that are thriving and are regionals and market directors. I mean, these guys, have gone through the ringer. Or we take people that don't necessarily normally look the look. Back in my day, it was if you looked good, you got hired.
Yeah.
It's like, we just take you because of your personality. And these are people who aren't getting hired at other places. And then they're like, oh shit, I am worth something. And they thrive.
And guess what? They're looking pretty good after a while when they're smiling every day, having a great time, and loving the job, right?
They sure are. Instead of
the second chance thing you said is another thing. So we have a foundation. I'm going to ask you that question too. If you do anything, what stuff you like to get back to, and you already do if you're hiring second chance. We've got a great sheriff in a county, in the biggest county DuPage County. The second biggest county in Illinois is DuPage County. Got a tremendous sheriff. When I ran for governor of the state of Illinois, and I got to know this guy really well.
Oh, really?
And while I got to know him, I found out about the second chance, amazing recidivism improvement program that he was doing. So he was bringing people in like you and I and our leaders to basically educate the people that he would pick out they weren't murderers, they weren't rapists, they didn't have any violence in their past. They just had a lot of tough times and that they couldn't get past. They smart people. They just didn't have confidence in themselves, right? That they could have a regular job. And so my son and I and some others went in and started mentoring some of these people, and got to be friends with many of them. And I spoke in front of them a few times. It was a lot of fun, and just inspired them. As you and I, not college educated people, the other fun we can have is speaking in front of groups like that as non-college educated who have stumbled across or worked our asses off for great success, right? It's easy. It's fun to speak in front of these people, but like I said, we've hired a handful of people now from that program, and knock on wood, maybe one of them's on our team right now anymore, but the most of them are working out very well. And the loyalty that they bring once you train them. Oh, by the way, you train them for free while they're in jail, right?
Yeah,
so Well, most of the training, right? Most of the training, educating on your industry, you can do
Yeah.
in the jail. They'll actually pay for the program. The
Yeah.
system will pay for them so that when they come out, first of all, they have a lot of time to study what you do, right? Your industry
Yeah.
and your culture. And when they come
Yeah.
out, they're more ready than most to come to work for you. You know,
That's right. Yeah, we've had a tremendous success, and we don't always go out and look, in that specific area, but the bigger we get, the more programs we're going to get into. I love women. I love some of our best GMs and most dedicated people in our company are women, and we've had a huge success. And I've been championing HR to start looking into programs like battered women's shelters, that these women that have second chances, when they're in these halfway houses and they're getting ready to go back into society, they can have a job waiting. Those kind of people are the people that I want to target, because it's like you said, I could have gone either way in life. I could have gone this way. I could have gone this way, right? For some reason, I got lucky and I went this way in my life, but sometimes I did go that way. It just, if you're given the opportunity, you're going to take it. And I do love people that have been through the hard shit in life, because they really know truly what matters. At the end of the day, they're like, okay, I get a company that I can make a wage. This is a second chance. I'm going to follow the values. I believe in the same values, and I know what I can achieve, because Joe Kahn was me, 20 years ago, and now I'm here. I'm at that road. We have very good success with a lot of halfway house drug addicts. We get a lot of we find a lot of success there, a lot of dedication from people.
So I talked to Tim Tebow the other day, and,
awesome.
What a great guy he is, and he's building a great organization that our foundation is looking at investing in. But Tim's got a thing in the Poconos Mountains, not that far from you. He was donated like a few thousand acres. They're building. He's raised I think 30 million out of 50 million so far. He's going to build an amazing place to basically to help women and children abused, all kinds of different groups of disadvantaged people to get on their feet. And it's gonna be pretty cool because he's got some great ideas. But trafficking is something he's on top of as well. He's got some people that are battling the human trafficking crisis we have in our country. And he's got some amazing people that are going to help with that. But these are all great people that if you give them an opportunity when their life is in a tough place, and your business, your brand gives them opportunity to bring to get their lives back, right? It means a lot to them, and it's something in business that we're blessed that we can do, right? And continue to inspire others to do that, because it's big. Do you guys have a foundation or anything yet, Joe?
We're not quite there yet. I mean, me personally, I've been, talking to the wealth advisors. We're planning all that for, when the next sale happens, or when we go public, but not now.
But even the business. So our business, my wife and I, just invested in different things personally for years, and then 20 years in, we realized that it made sense to start a foundation so we could have more organized giving and use a small percentage of the profits to fund that Rabine Group Foundation. Anyway, bottom line is it's grown drastically, rapidly. It's a really nice foundation, and we're able to give a lot back, or invest a lot in things, causes that help people fish, teach people to fish, right? And so anyway, it's a lot of fun because and as a company your size, it's a small percentage of your profits. If you can get your team to also love and buy into the causes you believe in, and they're invested in time, you and your team invest time and talent, it's worth more. It's worth as much as the money you can put into it.
I agree, 1,000%. Yeah, we're eager to get there. We've had so much growth, we just haven't even focused on something like that.
Well, if you ever need help, with it, I've got a lot of experience helping other people do it, because my daughter runs it nowadays. My late wife Cheryl was the one that was behind it initially and really did a great job building this thing. But I got to tell you, it makes a difference in our culture when many of our people want to participate in the stuff we're doing, whether it's, you know,
Yeah.
when I was in town a few weeks ago, we were building houses for Habitat for Humanity. We had like,
Oh, that's awesome.
we had 30, 40 people that showed up at different stints of time over the course of a couple of days to do that. But it's so much fun when you can see your team giving their
Right.
hearts and giving their time and talent, right?
Yeah.
Along with a few bucks from the business that
Yeah.
supports it, right?
Yeah,
So-
we haven't quite done the foundation. We invest pretty heavily in giving back.
Well, dude, you're a baby company. You're only 10 years old,
I
man.
know,
Hey,
right?
I was probably 20 years in before we did ours. Okay.
Did you
Maybe
really?
22 or 3 years in actually before we did ours. And we've been doing it now for 18 years. Right.
Oh,
But it's way
yeah,
worth
that's
it. It's way worth it anyway. But,
I bet.
so much amazing stuff here in your story, buddy. Your
Thank
story is
you.
a blessing to many. And you know, to think that this bartender, uneducated bartender, okay,
Right.
that got his butt kicked in his life a few times, was able to, you know, figure this out and help build this amazing company. It's a really cool story.
Yeah,
And-
thank you. It probably wouldn't have happened if there wasn't so much failure in life. And I will.
Well, how about that amazing wife of yours to rob her 401k twice?
Oh my gosh.
Right?
Well, listen. Here's the kicker. Ready? She did it the first time for the original, my first one. And then when I got in the lawsuit, I said, listen, babe, we only got, I think it was 100 grand or something.
Wait, did you call her sugar mama, babe, or just babe?
I should have. I went, listen, hon, we're gonna have to ask your parents for like 5 grand because I don't think we can move to Columbus and live, and I need to put every penny into this business. She lost it. But then the next day she's like, fine, we can tap into my 401k one more time, but you better be sure of this. And thankfully, so she gave me another 20 grand. Thankfully, it worked out. Now I get all the praise because, you know, I took care of her. I gave it back. But
Good, you paid her back.
never would have happened without my beautiful wife.
I hope
And,
you paid. I hope you paid a little interest, whether it's like extra hugs and kisses or something.
Oh, well, I take her to Paris quite frequently, and
All right.
she loves all the bags. She ended up getting a Birkin. So I think I
All
paid it
right.
back. I
Good
think I
deal.
paid
All
it
right.
back.
That's
Yeah.
pretty good interest. You guys have any kids?
I have a 27-year-old daughter. We have a 27-year-old daughter and a 6-year-old
Right.
granddaughter. Beautiful girl. And
All
we have
right.
in Cleveland that we have a little duplex. So when I get back to Cleveland, I'm a big Cavs fan, have season tickets on the floor. And so
All
we
right.
live upstairs and they live downstairs, and we visit them every other week in between Nashville, Columbus, and Cleveland. So
Nice.
we do a lot of family stuff together. Yeah.
That's important, man. You better
Sure.
take care of that. Take care of your faith, your family first, and
That's
as
right.
hard as we work in our business, right? We've got to care about our teammates' faith and family as well.
Agreed.
Okay,
Agreed.
so Christopher, you did you catch all this? This guy's awesome.
Oh man, Joe, you are awesome, and
Yeah, thank you.
really,
Thanks.
really inspiring, and you have like a really fun vibe to you. Like I was dying laughing at your
It's
story
because I have no filter. That's the problem. I either get in trouble or I'm charming enough that people are like, oh, but if you let me keep going, then you're like, I can't deal with you, Joe. So it might be fun now in small doses.
Hey,
No,
Joe, I'm gonna come to Nashville and hang out here with Julie. We
Love to.
like Nashville a lot. I
Love
actually just wrote a song that came out a week ago. Chris, did you hear my song yet?
I don't think you sent me the new one.
Dude, okay, I got to get it to you. So I just came out with a song. I paid for the production of it, and I critiqued it the whole
Really?
way through. And 4 great Nashville artists were behind the vocals, and one wrote it. So Thompson Square was it was Kiefer and Shauna wrote the song and played it initially, and then we
Wow.
got John Rich, Big and Rich, John Rich.
Yeah.
And we got Gretchen Wilson and Jared Neiman behind singing this song. Okay. But it's basically,
So you really are a fan.
it's a Make America
Yes.
Great song. Okay.
Wow.
But it's really, if you watch the video, it's amazing because we go from Trump to Kennedy to Martin Luther King. And it's basically, hey, we need to bring this country together again. So the song is a great song. and it's going viral. So I'll send you a copy of
I'd
it.
love
but
to see it. Yeah,
let-
that would be
let-
interesting.
Let's get together in Nashville
That
sometime.
would be
and
great.
we'll get together, these guys. But okay,
I'll
we'll go
I'll
back.
take you to the Bluebird Cafe. That's right by my house.
I love the Bluebird Cafe.
Yeah,
I've been
that's
there. I
right by
love it.
where I live. So yeah.
Cool. Okay. So sorry about that. Sorry for that to go off. But Chris,
No, all good.
lay it on us, buddy. What'd you pick up here with our guy?
Oh man, so much. So Joe, it seems like the kind of core of all this tremendous success is like, you worked for decades in the restaurant industry, and you're like,
Yep.
if we just treat these people well and pay them well, like we can't not succeed. Like this will,
Yeah.
you just like took that idea and ran with it, and it's awesome, man.
I never understood. I mean, there was one guy in this industry that gave me my props and that was the last job that I ever had before I started my company at Edison's. For a guy to give me 6%, he goes, anything over $500,000. This is what I'm doing baseline. I've been here 25 years. You do that, and I'm going to give you a percentage going forward on top of your salary, and then you can bartend. Nobody in the industry ever gives that. He was a great guy. He was leading the industry in terms of what, people that work for him. So I'm like, I always knew I wanted to do that, but it's a simple formula. It really is. And I don't understand how people in the restaurant industry don't pay, because there are such big profits if you do it right.
So
You make big profits.
So incentivize success, and you'll find success, right?
That's
I mean,
right.
That's
Yep.
what you did with you, and that's what you're doing going forward. And that's
Exactly. Exactly. And you know what? Back in the day, if you talk to anybody in this industry, typically you're just a number. So for somebody to actually give you opportunity is a huge thing. And I took a chance, and my partners at the time took that chance and believed in that, because they had done that in their company, even though it wasn't in the same industry. They had found success doing that, paying better, investing in people, and all this stuff. So it was just perfect formula, and it's worked so far, and we're going to keep doing it. I'm here to change the industry. There are others like me out there. There's a few, not everyone. I can say, like Raising Cane's, that guy is changing the industry, how he pays, how he treats people. So there are other people out there that are doing it, but that's the way that the industry is going.
Another
Because it's
lesson
such a
there.
legitimate. What's that?
Another lesson there, I'd say, Joe, is you learn from another, one of your partners that came from another industry, right?
Yep.
So many people think they have to do things the way it's been done forever in their industry.
Right.
And if you listen to my podcast, you get all these different industries, but you're going to find a lot of the same stuff, right? You're going to find a lot of the same things that created their extreme differentiation in
Yep.
their business, whether it's Jimmy John's, who's a friend of mine, or
Well, I actually know as well. I've met him a couple of times. We both
Mhm.
share the same God, what do you call her? I call her my guru, but she's, helps me in life, whatever.
yeah, like you're kind of your coach, huh?
Yeah, my life coach. We share the same life coach. So I've met him a couple of times. He's a good
character.
guy. He is a good
he's a-
guy, and he is
Yeah.
definitely excited.
So again, a great guy, and I learned stuff from him. So I get to be good friends with his dad, and then friends with him back 20
Wow.
years ago. And his dad was also an extremely strong entrepreneur like Jimmy.
Yeah.
But when I listen to Jimmy, right, he gave me garbage about having a lot of different businesses in different industries. And come to find out over time, I skinnied that down and became really focused on facilities industry, right? Which
Right.
I could have listened to him earlier, it would have worked.
Right.
And he's basically the same age as me, maybe a year younger, I think.
Yeah.
But anyway, bottom line is Jimmy then when he started the commercials, the Freaky Fast commercials, right? I goes,
Yeah.
I'm thinking, I thought to myself, man, we're really productive at what we do, but can we be the best in the world? Can we be the fastest at what we do?
That's
And be
right.
freaky fast at paving parking lots? Because if we could do that, our customers save thousands of dollars and sometimes millions of dollars if we can get in and out in a few days compared to a few weeks, right?
Yeah.
And so we became the fastest in our space, and it actually is a really good sales tool and a big differentiator. So what you're doing, what you've done is you're learning from other industries, and more people need to think that way. We have these industries that are sometimes stagnant.
Yep.
How do we embrace other industries or doing things that we can bring to our industries and create strong differentiation? When you do that, now it's success is imminent, in my opinion.
Yeah, he is a very sneaky, smart guy. I know you
Oh,
know
yeah.
that, but wow, sometimes I'm just blown away. Like, oh man, you are extremely smart. He's like, hey, anytime you get stuck on commodities, I own most of the farms around here, just call me. I'm
Yeah.
like, okay, what's the price of this? Oh no, you can get better. So
Yeah, no,
very smart guy.
he's a neat guy. Very good. So okay, so Chris, I keep interrupting you, buddy, because I'm so excited about Joe and where he's going.
Oh, Joe, that's crazy you bring up Jimmy John, because the whole time you were speaking, I was having like flashbacks to our interview. We had Jimmy John, he was like our second guest on
Oh,
the show.
really?
And I was like, man, Joe reminds me of Jimmy John. I'm just getting like just echoes of that. So
He's got a much bigger personality.
Don't be surprised if you have a multi-billion-dollar exit somewhere in your future, my
Right.
friend.
That'd be nice.
I think he did that right after he did our show. Was it like within a year after he interviewed with us?
Yeah. His last exit. I think he had his second exit right about that time, and then a third, or his third tranche. He had like 3 different times, but yeah.
Yeah, I can't. He told me a story that's private, but what he got on his last deal, just the
Yes,
perpetuity is amazing. To think of that, I'm just like, oh my God, you must have had the best broker in the world, best guy in the world, best attorney, and then to ask that, wow, good for him.
Done well. I was working out this morning with another guy in your industry, Dick Portello, and Dick Portello.
Oh, yeah, I got his. He's our CEO. Just came from Portillo's, Derek Pratt, and he was the COO of Portillo's, and we got him 4 months ago now. We're very proud of him. He's doing an amazing job. But yes, he spent.
Okay, wait, what's his name?
Portillo's.
I'll tell Dick you said that you got it. What's his name? Derek?
Derek Pratt. Praat, I believe.
Okay, yeah, well, Dick is another extremely awesome person. We're going to get him on our podcast here too. Actually, he's my neighbor here in Florida, and he's extremely strong entrepreneur, great person. His wife Sharon, amazing people. So
tell him every time I get off the plane to go home, first stop I make, and he's not going to be surprised because I talked to the private equity that own his company. I get off the plane, I go there. That's the first thing I do is get a Chicago dog from Portillo's downtown, and then I go to my parents and I go and see them. But it's every time. And I told that to the private equity team that was after us that bought them. And he goes, I hear that story all the time. People go to Chicago, they land, and they go to Portillo's. So tell them I go and get a hot dog every single time. I
will tell them, and they have to be careful that they keep it that good, right? They keep it the quality up and everything else, because I think they will. I don't think they're crazy enough not to. That the quality of this food is just extremely good.
Yeah, still is.
Awesome.
Yeah.
All right, okay, Chris, we want to interrupt you too quick. You can go ahead.
Sorry, bud.
No, I'll get it. This is a blast. This was just awesome, man. Joe, I just want to thank you as an ex Chipotle worker in college. I still love the food. I think the quality has dropped off, but that job sucked. I hated going to work there. Yeah. And it sounds like, your creation, Condado Tacos, is a direct response to that feeling. I know I'm not alone in feeling that way. So, thank you for just, making life a little less shitty for thousands of people.
And this is such, I appreciate that, but it really is our dedication to legitimize this industry, to come in and make a career out of it and know that you can make a living, you can be respected, you can make more than a living if you work your way up. And so, yeah, we're very proud of that. And that's what we follow. All our employees follow to this day. So, yeah, hopefully in 20 years, that's exactly what we're known for, right? That's what you want to be and carry it on for decades to come. So
yeah,
you can be so lucky, right?
No, you created this for the young yous in the world. And
that's right. I did.
That's an amazing thing.
I did. Yeah, thank you. Thank you. Yeah, that's awesome. I appreciate it.
So a few things I picked up that, things that I love hearing from a leader, and it's, being that servant-minded leader, the pleaser, because if you can transfer that passion to every one of your teammates, man, you're gonna grow unended. It's gonna be a non-ending growth story. So it's gonna be a lot of fun. But so that pleaser mentality you have, great. I haven't heard it as pleaser in a culture, but I like it a lot. The chip on your shoulder, I love the chip on your shoulder. You know,
I still carry it. I remind my dad every time. I'm like, see, I'm not a garbage man, Dad.
Every day, yeah. But hey, you know what? The Huizingas were just garbage men too, though. They weren't
That's right.
for waste management.
That's right. That's right.
You can be a garbage man. You can be a paving, steel coating and patching guy, or you can be a bartender that turns into a restaurateur. And if you strive to be the best in the world at that, you're going to be pretty successful. Right.
You know, the funny thing, now that I'm looking at your ditch digger, I think he used to tell me I'd be a ditch digger as well. Can you believe that? That's funny.
Well, you're a little younger than me. And when you were really young, when you were about probably 10 years old, and I was, let's say, 18 years old, let's say, the movie Caddyshack came out. Okay. It was a year after that came out that I was harassed by my buddies as they're going to be a ditch digger, Rabine. The world needs ditch diggers, right? That's how that's why I came up with the title of this podcast, is because I'll never forget it was a chip on my shoulder. While they went off to college, I made money. I bought a house. I paid the house almost off. They graduated college. They're looking for jobs. I got no debt. I got a little business we're building, right? It was kind of cool. So
good for you.
Every situation up here for everybody. I mean, college education is great for some. I have high ADD when they didn't really identify it hardly back then in the 70s and 80s, right? But it's been a blessing for me, right?
Yeah.
You kind of sounds like the same thing. You weren't a guy that liked to learn in a classroom environment, but man, you sure do well work with your hands and learning by doing things.
That's right. Yeah.
And that's been a blessing for you as well.
Absolutely. I feel very, very blessed. So yes, it's a good life. That's for sure.
Well, we really appreciate you being on today, buddy. Chris, anything else you got?
I mean, just choose Columbus for your concept testing. If you're making tacos, have a consultant from Oaxaca.
That's right. I would not be anywhere if it wasn't for Katerina. That's for sure. No, you guys, I really appreciate this. This was a very fun podcast. I can't wait to hear it. I can't wait for my family to hear it and our employees to hear it. You've been a lot of fun.
So I'm pretty sure that we have a Sizzlers down here, Joe. Is that possible?
If we have what?
So I'm pretty sure I saw a Sizzler somewhere down here. I'm going to go look for it now. I want to eat. I didn't eat lunch yet. I want to go find a Sizzlers to eat lunch there.
Oh, I haven't seen one in years. I think I was in Florida and I actually saw one a few years ago. I take the family down every year for Disney and I'm sure I saw one.
I think it's one not too far from me. So I'm going to find it. This is the place where Joe started. All right. So hey,
guys, thank you. Chris, I didn't mean to cut you off. Thank you so much.
Hey, really appreciate it. I'm going to look you up when I'm going to get yourself from Chris. I'm going to look you up when I come to Nashville and haunt you, get you in front of some of these characters. I'm going to send you that. I'm going to send you our song too. We just
I'd love to hear it. I'd love to hear it.
Thanks for being on Ditch Digger CEO, buddy.
Thank you guys. I appreciate you.
Have a great day.
Thank you. You too.